Hey everybody, this is Perch. How does the comic company how does so it, let me I'm going to start with a premise. You may disagree, but let's just start right there because I think most of you will agree. Whether you like the current comics or not, whether you're a fan of what Marvel is doing or not, Marvel in particular, to a lesser extent DC. DC's riding a little bit of a buzz with the Absolute Universe and kind of what they've got going on there. But, in general, comics, the big two, Marvel and DC, are in a bit of a malaise. I'm going to use that word because it's nicely benign. And whether you absolutely hate the comics, you love the comics, my feeling is if you're loving what's happening, and every now and then people come in the comments and they're like, Marvel's comics are on fire. They're doing great, better than years. If that's what you believe, that's okay. I'm not quite there yet. I think I have seen a lot of improvement within comics, but Marvel still seems lost to a large extent. So my point is, even if you're loving those comics, I would hope you could agree that there's a sense of, I think malaise is the right word. It feels aimless, directionless. Marvel doesn't feel like they've got a good tether right now. The World Under Doom event, again, you may be loving it, but it is not lighting the world on fire. Go to any comic shop. The Ultimate Universe, again, there are people who love what Dennis Camp is doing with the Ultimates, but it does feel like it's just lost the shine. Even Ultimate Spider-Man by Hickman is like, it doesn't have the same kind of heat and energy that it once did. We just saw a new launch of Amazing Spider-Man, and you've got, a really hot artist on that. And still, it's like, there's just not that energy. The X titles feel like they're a bit lost. The Avengers is there. And when you look at it, it's like, oh man, things just don't feel like they're going anywhere. They don't feel good. And then you look at, you're like, well, but Jed McKay's on the Avengers. He's on the Ultimate, the X-Men. If anything, that's just, you got Hickman writing stuff. You got a brand new, like some kind of space event coming out from Hickman soon. You got a lot of things that in theory on paper should be leading to a lot more energy than this. And yet it feels off. So my video is really going to be here. Like, how does Marvel, and we'll just pick on them, how do they get it back? They've got, I do believe that Fantastic Four is going to do well. I don't think it's going to bomb. I think that it's going to give the MCU a little bit of a boost for really one reason above all others. They finally have some kind of threat direction. Now, you may hate Robert Downey Jr. as Doom, but it does give them a direction. And that's going to be that's what the MCU's been missing for a while as they've gone through the recent phases. They're introducing characters and doing stuff, but it's like there's no Thanos gravity that's pulling them into a big combined, set of movies. And now we have two. We have Secret Wars and we have the Doom movie. So you have kind of two big Avengers movies coming out. We got a Fantastic Four movie out. I think the buzz is going to heat up there. But in the comics, you've got this malaise. And this would be a case where I'd love to debate people like, who's that guy? The Charlie Kirk, right? He does this thing where he sets up a table and then he just kind of fast talks and debates people. By the way, for a friend of mine was really pushed me, like, you got to watch this. You got to watch more Charlie Kirk. You got to watch, there's a Turning Point channel. And so I forget the politics. This guy knows how to debate. He's just good at kind of, doing that. And so I go to the channel, I'm immediately turned off because all of the channel titles say things like, Charlie Kirk destroys libtard, and it's very on the nose, if you will. I'm going to read you some, like, shuts down reparations grifter, tears apart white liberal race baiter, educates Democrat voter on DEI nonsense, triggers BLM clad white liberal, destroys pierced face pro diversity liberal. There's all these videos that say stuff like that. But then when I listen to I go and I listen to it and I'm like, all right, it's advertising that he's going to destroy somebody. And you listen to it and the videos end. By the way, I don't know if anybody else has this experience, and I'll get off the topic, but whether you agree with the guy or not, I'm like, I'm okay. You promised a beating and there's no beating. Like they're having a big argument. And I'm expecting at the end to see like the libtard or whatever it is in tears. I'm expecting to see some big, coup de grace at the end. But they don't go that way. Like they're having an argument and then like an ad plays and I'm like, oh, okay, let me click past this ad. And it's like, nope, the video just ended. Like there's no end. Like they don't those videos are false news. Fake news. They don't. That sounds like a very fancy British. They're false news, good sir. I tell you. Anyway, I don't know if anybody else has this experience, but like if you're gonna advertise like white trash grifter gets destroyed, like you need to show some destruction. Like they're and the person, keep in mind, Kirk is a good interviewer or a good debater. But I mean a lot of his skill comes from talking really fast. That's a big part of the secret. And he's debating complete morons in a lot of cases that can't string two words together. But I'm expecting some destruction. Anyway, sorry, I went off on a tangent there. What gets Marvel to feel hot and good again? And I think there's a lot of things that would work for comic collectors, but I don't think it would necessarily do it. Like, have a run with a good writer artist go more than 20 issues. I would love that, but I don't think that's going to get its momentum back. Or if so, it would be very slow momentum that it would get back. Um, I think what it's going to take is you need to have a genuine threat that doesn't feel like it's a rip from today's headlines or some kind of I mean the problem with the doom stuff is it just feels a little too on the nose that the writer editor is upset about Trump winning, and so we're getting some kind of allegory for what Trump would look like as dictator of the world with magical powers. I mean it feels a little too ripped from today's headlines. And I think that's not really going to get buzz. Unfortunately, it's not 2014, and cutting commentary within the pages of the Avengers based on current political events really doesn't do it from a get people, excited or get people thinking they're in for something new. So it's got to go somewhere else. I think you need a good, genuine threat. The heroes need to lose, and surprising heroes. Like you need to have heroes that like Iron Man needs to lose and lose big. It was funny because I was thinking I'm not the hugest fan of it, but if you think about the Age of Ultron, the Bendis storyline, and when that started off with the entire world's like fucked, and then Captain America's kind of crying next to a broken shield, he's been broken, a bunch of the heroes are dead. You don't have to go that far, but you need that level of severity, that level of like it's a threat. And quite frankly, if Ultron wasn't being treated like a joke over in West Coast Avengers, that's the kind of villain you need. You need some kind of cold, unstoppable, inhuman kind of villain. So Thanos worked well for a period of time. You need something like that. So you got to have the heroes lose for a while because you got to raise the stakes to get things to, so people want to tune in to see how the heroes are going to win. You need to do something you need to do like a little bit of, almost, close up magic type trick where you need to sucker people in with some kind of like this is why they've dropped the ball so badly on Joe Casey's Weapon X-Men. You need to have a series where you've got like the biggest X characters in one team doing something super dangerous, and you need to hype it and bill it as that. And then not, for a period of time, don't use it to introduce a bunch of random characters that the writer really wishes she was writing, but instead use it to create some sense of danger and urgency with really classic characters everybody knows. Then you do another big comic trick where you take the players off the board through some amazing threat, like they did when they introduced Jubilee, and you had Wolverine basically crucified there, and then you had to have this rebuilding of the team. Comic fans are suckers for rebuilding things. So Marvel needs some of these. You need genuine threat, like big time threat. And then you need to have some rebuilding occur but you need to start with some pretty major characters everybody knows. And you have to avoid at all costs, just like you avoid the doing a political allegory against some current news headline. You need to do something where it's like, now's not the time to pretend that characters like Miss Marvel are popular. You got to rebuild is the word. So what you need to do is, a little bit of what they were doing in Amazing Spider-Man, where Miss Marvel was a supporting character there. That was smart. That's one of the better things Nick Lowe did. I mean, they killed her as a stunt, but what they need to do is truly like get some mentor character again, just like he did with Wolverine and Jubilee. Get rid of your ego and let them build up Miss Marvel or characters like that. Kind of same thing with Miles. There's some good comics out there, but they need buzz. Buzz is different from good comics. Buzz means kind of like in wrestling, Monday Night Wars. People are going to tune in because they can't help themselves. You need that. That's what you need. And so, that's where we got to get to with Marvel. What are your ideas? How do you make Marvel great again? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But how do you get that buzz? Okay, not necessarily, great comics for 30 years, but buzz, where people are like, "Holy shit, I can't wait a month to read what's next." You've got the players, you've got the characters, you have a couple things you can draft of. Marvel Rivals very popular, MCU getting more popular. You've got some things there. How do you bring it together? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course, and thanks for listening.